What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Sauce. So this episode is going to be different than the others. It's the episode I've been talking about since the very first, the divisional breakdown. So in this divisional video, we're talking about the North Division, or the Canadian Division. However you want to swing it, that's what we're talking about. So without further ado, let's get saucing. Alright, so I kind of gave away the top four in the very first video, so I think it's best to go top to bottom on this one. So starting off at number one, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, I think, have the best chance to truly run away with this division. They have the same core in place. They're in, I think, an easier division than they normally would be with the Atlantic, having teams like Boston and Tampa in their face all the time. Guys like Mitch Marner are still going to be performing, John Tavares, Austin Matthews, but where I think the Maple Leafs are going to surprise people is the veterans that they added in the offseason. Guys like Jumbo Joe Thornton, Wayne Simmons, and then on the blue line adding the mean old beard with a pair of fists, Zach Bogosian, and they have TJ Brody as well in the blue line. All those moves, I think, solidified Toronto's success into this season. They, again, same core from last year that can't seem to get it done. They've added some veterans that, know what it takes to win. Maybe not the Stanley Cup, but Jumbo Joe has been on a successful Sharks team. Wayne Simmons has been around a couple of teams, but he's just a great depth player. And I think the offseason moves that Toronto made were fantastic. And of course, how can I forget one of the best goalies in the league, Freddie Andersen. Now, I know he's been inconsistent at times, but it's hard to bet against Freddie Andersen on most nights. They play him a lot most seasons. I think he had 62 or 70 games out of an 82-game season. So if they rest him up a bit and have a decent backup goalie, I think Toronto will be just fine. And my number two pick, the Calgary Flames. So with Calgary, I want to start from the net out. And Jacob Markstrom was an awesome offseason signing. He had a great season with Vancouver last year, really came into his own. We know Vancouver had two fantastic goalies in Thatcher Demko, who is the goalie of the future, and Jacob Markstrom, he's no spring chicken, but he's not old either, and I think he deserved the contract that he got. I think he's going to be great for this Calgary Flames team. So with an offensive style set of defensemen, the offense has a little bit more time to play some defense. They're a hard-hitting offensive core, guys like Matthew Tkachuk, who's always fun to watch. And, they have a stellar first line, Sean Monahan, Elias Lindholm. They just have a great lineup up and down, honestly. And they just need to be consistent and build on the end of the last season. I think Calgary will do well if they can stick to that and just move on into this season. And at number three, as I mentioned in the first video, the Vancouver Canucks. So yes, I just mentioned they lost their goalie in Jacob Markstrom. However, they replaced him with Braden Holtby from the Washington Capitals. Now, Braden Holtby has not had the best last couple of seasons, but he did win a Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals, and he can be a really good goalie when called upon. And aside from that, they still have Thatcher Demko in net, who is a great young goaltender. So, look, if Braden Holtby doesn't work out this year, you have Thatcher Demko for the future. I think in net they'll be okay. Now, the blue line, I think, is where most of the changes happen for Vancouver in the offseason. Yes, they have guys like Quinn Hughes still on the blue line, but they did lose, I want to say, Tanev on the blue line, and I believe he went over to Calgary. I think there was a lot of swapping going around within the North Division during the offseason. Of course, nobody at the time knew they would be playing against each other, but they kind of had an idea at some point. So the blue line is my main concern with Vancouver. But they do have a lot of offensive and defensive firepower there. Now for the offense, high-octane, young core of players. Guys like Elias Pettersson, young rookie Niels Hoglander's coming up in the lineup and was looking good through the first couple games of this season. Guys like JT Miller, picking up where he left off last season. Brock Besser, who had a great rookie season, slowed down in his next season. They're all good. I think Vancouver will build on the success that they had in the playoffs last year and continue that into this season. All right, and my fourth team, the Montreal Canadiens. And why I have them at number 4, I'm telling you, they were a thorn in the side of the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers in the playoffs last year. And they really didn't change a lot in the offseason. So a lot of those core guys are still there. The Montreal Canadiens have a lot of rookies coming up the pipeline. Guys like Nick Suzuki are building off of the season that he had last year. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, their third overall pick a few years back, is starting to pick up. Worried about Jonathan Drouin, who was a former Lightning first-round pick. But again, when you have young guys that are stepping up, I think it's okay for some of those guys to take back seat. You have veterans like Brendan Gallagher up in the forward lineup who's playing phenomenal. And then Tyler Toffoli, who just came over from Vancouver. And I mean, again, I know we're already in the season, but you saw the first video. Montreal was in my top 4, and currently he's leading the league in goals with 9. He's looking good. And like I said, I know it's in a weaker division, but he's looking good. And on the blue line, you got big bad Shea Weber back there, who's always holding down the fort. I think this shortened season is going to be great for him and their goaltender, Carey Price, who are two guys that they tend to be injury prone. But when they're healthy and they're on a hot streak, there's no stopping them. They have rookies like Alexander Romanov, who's looked fantastic this season on the blue line for the Habs. And the Montreal Canadiens have some other young defensemen that are up and coming. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Carey Price in net, who's one of the best goaltenders in the league and has been for years now. And they added Jake Allen in the offseason from the St. Louis Blues to back up Carey Price. And I think that was a great move. Give Carey Price some rest in the shortened season. And, you know, so far he's looked good as well. The Montreal Canadiens, man, they look scary. All right, and missing the playoffs. Here's where the rankings get interesting for all you folks watching. Number 5, I have the Winnipeg Jets. Now, they have Connor Hellebuck, who is a Vezina Trophy finalist for the past couple of years, Vezina Trophy winner. If not for him, Winnipeg would not have made it into the playoffs last year. And that was an extended playoff format. And they were that close to missing that. Crazy, I know. But Connor Hellebuck is the real deal. He's a fantastic goalie, and I think he's going to steal some games for them. But it's just so close this year, and it's a shortened season, so anything can happen. But with the Winnipeg Jets, they do have a high-octane offense. A huge trade went down with Columbus and Winnipeg, where Patrick Laine and Jack Roslovic got shipped off from Winnipeg in exchange for Pierre-Luc Dubois, who I think is going to be a great center for them. They have an amazing depth of centers in Winnipeg, and they have a high-octane, high-flying, high-scoring offense. What always worries me about them is their defense. Speaking of, I feel like the Winnipeg defense has taken a hit over the last couple of years. They used to have one of the better defensive cores in the league, but I mean, I can really only think of Neil Pionk, who came over from New York, who's doing really well, but I just don't think that D-core is stout and strong enough to hold off some of these teams like Toronto, like Montreal. I don't think it's there. So for that reason, they're my first team outside looking in. All right, coming in at number 6, the Edmonton Oilers. So, where do I begin? They have Connor McDavid. They have Leon Draisaitl. They have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. They have Jesse Puljujarvi, who's coming back. The offense is there. I just don't understand how this team isn't better year after year. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And it's frustrating to watch sometimes. I know some Edmonton fans who are watching are probably frustrated and yelling at me, why do you have them so low? They just haven't shown me that they can do it. Chicago beat them in the playoffs, and Chicago was the 12 seed. It was awful to watch. And the main reason why they lost is their goaltending. And this year is no different. Mike Smith, Mikko Koskinen, those are your goaltenders that you're going into the season with, and you have Connor McDavid leading the charge? They need something different. They need new goaltending. They need better defensive core, which I haven't even mentioned, but the main reason I have them so low and almost at the bottom of this division, or last place in this division, is their goaltending. Their offense is there. Their offense is going to steal them some games, but their goaltending is going to cost them plenty more. And on defense, they have guys like Ethan Bear, who's a young upcoming defenseman, Caleb Jones, who's brother of Seth Jones, who's going to be a phenomenal defenseman, I'm sure. And you have Adam Larson. I don't know. Oh, and Oscar Klefbom. How could I forget about him? Duh. But they have some names there, but it's not enough. It's just not enough. And that's why I have him so low on this list. And if you can remember the logos from the very first video, or you just know the division, you'll know in last place I have the Ottawa Senators. It's unfortunate that I have them coming in last place, but they're still rebuilding. So, this should come as no surprise to Senators fans out there, but the future looks bright. They have a lot of young guys. They're going to have plenty of ice time, which is going to be incredibly exciting to watch. Brady Tkachuk's going to be stepping up as he's been every single year. They did add Matt Murray in net, which we'll see how that plays out. He's had a couple of off seasons, but I think it was a good move by both teams, by Pittsburgh and by Ottawa. Hopefully it pans out for them. Hopefully he can steal them some games and find his groove back, because I think if he can stay with the Sens and find that groove, I think he can help them rebuild faster than they even intended. The Senators also got Tim Stützle in the NHL draft not too long ago, and he's going to be a stud in this league. He is already phenomenal at such a young age, so it's exciting to see what he can do in this league and on this team. And again, keeping with the rookie theme, their defensive core looks stout. Guys like Thomas Chabot on the blue line, and there's many more young guys up and coming in Ottawa's pipeline. So they're going to be a fun team to watch. They're going to steal some games, I'm sure, offensively, and if Matt Murray can find his mojo, but I just can't see them getting out of the bottom, at least not this year. So there you have it. I know it's been a long time coming, but there is my 1 through 7 breakdown of the Canadian North Division. So you know the drill. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, send it to your friends, hit the notification bell. Give me some ideas for some hockey content. I'm looking to see if I can do the reverse retro, top 10, bottom 10. I don't know yet, but give me some ideas. I'm looking forward to what you all have. Thanks for watching The Sauce. Stay saucy.